Okay, hi everybody, and thank you for joining me tonight. And we are talking about wellness. We all have to be well because our health is our wealth. And if you don't realize that now, you'll realize it sooner than you ever thought possible. And tonight we're talking about food, which is our favorite topic, and weight, which is our also favorite topic. And how do we control those? You know, it's so difficult. Everybody knows. I mean, it's such a simple thing. You just eat less and exercise more and you control your weight. I mean, why don't we do it? Well, I tell you, when you see the people that are overweight, especially being in America where everybody is overweight, the whole country's obese. Here in Portugal, not so bad, but much bigger than last time I was in Portugal. And just around the world, South Africa's obesity rate is just growing and growing. But why do we eat? Are we actually hungry? Do we need that food? The answer is of course not. And those of you who've been with us on WildFit who have done the water fast, that's something else. So I just got a cough. I just had a whole lot of coconut, which is stuck in my throat, so you're going to have to just bear with me. But now, why are you hungry? Is it nutritional hunger? Do you actually need the food? Mostly no. Are you thirsty? You see, I drink copious amounts of water. I never stop drinking water. Do you want some variety in your life? You're just sick of the same old thing, so you'll eat something different. Is your blood sugar low so that you are feeling a bit fraught and you think, oh, let me just eat something, I'll feel better? Emotional hunger, one of the things we all do. We just eat when we're sad, we eat when we're happy, we eat all the time. And then the empty stomach hunger. Is your stomach actually empty or isn't it? So you have to decide, why do you want to eat? And are you going to put that food in your mouth, or are you going to just control yourself? And, you know, I do another talk on habits. It's so important to have really good habits. If you've got bad habits, you're going to do bad things. If you have good habits, you're going to do good things. It's very, very simple. But how often do we just have these bad habits? And I know I walk in and I take some nuts, I take some fruit, I take something else. And by the time I'm finished, I've eaten a whole lot of stuff that I really didn't need. So how do we control ourselves and how do we sort this out? So I'm here with my friend Kerry Dell from New Zealand, who is a specialist in WildFit. And those of you who don't know WildFit, please Google Eric Edmeades and just see what he's got to say. It will change your life, there's no doubt. It's a huge step. I mean, I went from being full-time vegetarian to full-time vegan to full-time WildFit. It's 3 massive steps, but my gosh, it is so amazing. It really is. So Kerry, come on in and start talking to us about the hungers. Which one are you going to start with?
Well, I think I'd like to start by saying that when we can identify different types of hungers that are occurring in our body, we become more aware, we become more conscious. And when we are consciously eating, we have this awareness of what it's doing in our body. Because often we will sit in front of the TV, or even when we go to a movie, and you just eat, and you just eat. And then before you know it, yeah, it's just like your plate is finished, your popcorn's finished, and you didn't even realize that you had actually finished that. So I want to just slow things down, and I want you to just be more aware that there is food that our body asks for, and then there's food that we put in that our body doesn't need at all. It really doesn't need it at all. So I want to start with thirst hunger, because I do truly feel our delicious water, our absolutely delicious water, is the one way that our body has to ask for water is through a hunger process. And I think when you get this, you'll actually put more water into your body than what you've ever realized. So if you think back to our ancestors and how they used to eat, our ancestors ate a lot of fruit and veggies. And you think about the content of fruit and veggies. Think about a cucumber. Think about celery. Think about a mango. Think about a watermelon. Think about a papaya. Think about a kiwi fruit. Think about an apple. When you crunch into an apple and you take a bite, the juices squirt everywhere in your mouth. That's their water content. And so we were eating a lot of food that had a high water content. So we were getting hydrated. Our organs were getting hydrated. The cells were getting hydrated. We were getting hydrated with the foods we were eating. So the body, thousands and millions of years ago, said, when I'm thirsty, I need to grumble. The tummy needs to grumble. If the tummy grumbles, I will actually give a message to say, I need some water. I need to be hydrated. So when the tummy grumbles, the first thing you do, the very first thing you do is you pick up your water. You pick up your water and you go, right, if I'm having water first, then if my tummy doesn't grumble after the water, that was thirst hunger. That was first hunger. If you think about how we walk around the supermarket today and we put things into our trolley that come in boxes and tins. If you think about boxes and tins, there's no water content in those things. There's really no water content. And so when we are eating what our term dead food, because it's not living, it's got no enzymes in it. When we're eating the dead processed food with no water content, our body's going, I want water, I want water. And the only way it can do that is by grumbling, allowing the tummy to grumble. So most of the grumbles that you are feeling in today's world is not actually a true hunger. It's a thirst hunger. It's really your body going, I need to be hydrated. Do you know that your liver needs a lot of water in order to do the detoxing process? Your brain needs a lot of water, and your brain is made up of mostly water. 70% of your brain is water. Your body is made up of mostly water. And so we actually need to get a lot in, especially also when we're exerting ourselves and we are, running, or we are exercising, or we're doing other things. We lose water. We lose a lot of water. So we're losing 2 to 3 liters of water a day. And how many of us are actually drinking 2 to 3 liters of water a day? We should be drinking as soon as the tummy grumbles. That's the very first thing that we should be doing.
Yeah, and I just want to come in here and say 2 things. One, if you suffer from constipation, you're just not drinking enough water, because your common sense has to tell you, if something is bunged up inside of you, if you flush it out, it will go out. If you start taking Dulcolax and all that type of thing, it doesn't know what's going on. It comes out, but it just doesn't know what's going on. So drink the water to flush it out. And to just think about it first before you start putting that food into your mouth. But our friend Tamara Pfeiffer said that if you're going to get supermarket and buy food, you buy food that's around the outside of the supermarket. You don't go down the aisles, because the aisles are full of tins and boxes and things like that you really don't want. And how often do you take a packet of chips and just scrap a packet of chips or something just to keep you going, when actually that's completely the wrong thing to do? And I just have to say at this stage, my absolute worst things in life are energy drinks. They are so bad for you. They ruin your kidneys. I said to my staff when I saw them drinking energy drinks, I said, you're going to suffer with your kidneys like you cannot believe. Well, I can tell you now that 2 of my managers have had kidney stones, and kidney stones are the worst pain in the world. And they said, Margaret, I wish I had listened to you. I will never, ever have another Red Bull or energy drink again, because they really did stuff up my kidneys. So, I think we have to be so mindful about what we drink. And it's so difficult when you go out and everybody's having sangria. I'm here in Portugal. Everybody's having red wine and sangria and blah, blah, blah. And, you don't want to be the party people and say, I'll have water, thank you. So, but what I do is I just get a little bit, and I put a lot of ice in, lots and lots and lots of ice, so that I'm literally drinking the water from the ice all night. But I don't look like a party people when everybody else is having wine and I'm drinking water. So, and my husband doesn't drink at all as well. So he has a coffee. So they really think, oh my God, look at these 2. So I put the ice in now, and I just keep going with the ice the whole night. But I think, thirst is definitely something that you need to take care of. And the coffee, as you know, is not good for you. A lot of coffee is not good for you. Rooibos tea is fantastic. You can have as much as you like of that. But other tea as well with the caffeine in it, it really isn't good for you. You see women with their brown stained teeth and all that from all the coffee that they've been drinking. Otherwise, you fill it with milk to make it white, and then you just go glugging down all this milk with all this animal fat and hormones and stuff in it, which is also not good. So I think it's quite difficult to stick to the straight and narrow. I find it, even as I'm a convicted vegan. I mean, I would never, ever not be a vegan. But it's really difficult, especially here in Portugal, where they don't even know what the word vegan is. And you just have to pray that they've got, vegetables added as a side. And then I order those rather than order all the other stuff that the other people are eating, because they live on meat, chicken, and fish here. So, yeah, it is difficult. But it has to be a mindset. Like, can you talk to us about the mindset of changing your mind on what you've been brought up on? I mean, we had mince on Mondays, chicken on Tuesdays, chops on Wednesdays, I forgot what else, and fish on Fridays for my whole life, and a roast chicken on a Sunday. That was the center of our meal, was the protein, and then, a couple of vegetables on the side. So if you've been taught to eat like that your whole life, and you have eaten like that, it's a mindset change. How do you just take control of your mind to change that?
It's a huge thing, because there's so much from our young days, our upbringing, that has been stored in our subconscious. And so we kind of also do things on automatic. It just becomes like you said earlier about a habit. It's a habit. It's like, this is the way we did things. But I truly believe that when you feel the difference in your body, like when you start drinking the water, and I must be honest, you know, when a lot of people start drinking the water, they're going, how am I going to get this much water down? But put a slice of cucumber in, put a slice of lemon in, put some mint leaves in, you know, I put some blueberries in the water. So look at the water. And same thing when I go out, sometimes I actually order sparkling water with a slice of lemon in it. Just so it's got bubbles with a slice of lemon, and it actually looks like you could be having a gin and tonic, or you could be having something else. But I'm the same as you. It's like, I would much prefer plain, still not sparkling, but I would much prefer just really plain water. So to get around the mindset is you've got to consistently do something, make that change, but make that change on a regular basis, and then it becomes your new habit. But I think the awareness is the first thing that you need to do. So once you're aware of something, once you are aware that the grumbling in your tummy may not be hunger, then you go, oh, hang on a minute. Maybe I need to give it some water here. Maybe it is just something that I need to be more aware of. The minute you're aware, you have an opportunity to change that habit. You have an opportunity to actually change what you're doing. And then the moment you do that on a regular basis over and over again, all of a sudden it was like, wow, 2 months have passed and I've been drinking water every day. 3 months have passed and I've been drinking water every day. So it is a consistency that we need, and it is an awareness that we need. So the minute we're aware, then we can actually change and move to the next thing.
Now, talk to me about nutritional hunger, because sometimes you're just craving. I'm just craving something. I'm just craving something. It might be something you don't need. I'm craving a salted caramel ice cream, which I sometimes do. I'm just craving this, and I'm just, when I see one, I'm just going to have it. And lucky I don't see them very often. But anyway, but you sometimes get those cravings. Is that a nutritional hunger, or is your body needing it, or you just feel like it's a comfort food?
No, if I really tell you the deep down, the honesty about these cravings, they're not even your cravings. If you think about this, they're not even your cravings. Our bodies at the moment, because we're putting so much processed food in, we've got in our guts, we've got good bacteria and bad bacteria, and that needs to be balanced. But the processed foods and the sugars and the grains and the acidity feeds the bad bacteria. It feeds the pathogens in our body. It feeds the microbiome that is not the good one in our system. And all of a sudden, we've got more of them. They crave the foods. They crave the sugars. They crave the grains. They crave the acidity because they want to survive. They want to survive. So when you get a craving for something that is sugar, it's not you. It's not you. You don't want that in your body. Your body doesn't want that. Your body wants to be strong. Your body wants to survive. Your body wants energy. Your body does not want the refined sugars. Those cravings come from an imbalance of bacteria in our gut, and you're feeding the wrong stuff. You're feeding the wrong, there could be parasites in there too. They love sugar. Parasites love sugar. Viruses, oh my goodness, you know, viruses love all sorts of things in your system. And so you're feeding the things that are growing in our body. We're always going to have bugs in us. Okay, that's the ecosystem that is in our bodies. We're never going to totally get rid of them, but we need to bring them back into balance, because we need the good bacteria and we need the bad bacteria in order to break down everything so that we absolutely can absorb the nutrients. When we've got a total imbalance and we've got these sugar cravings that are going on, it's not really us. It's really not us. So nutritional hunger is the only hunger that we should be feeding. That's what we should be feeding. And nutritional hunger comes from putting live, living food, your fruits, your veggies, and a lot of people do need the protein. So that is still living food. Living food has got enzymes in it. It means that when it goes into your mouth, it already starts breaking down. The digestion starts in your mouth. So you become aware and conscious. As I'm chewing, all of a sudden, my food has already turned to mush, which means it's much easier for the digestion to actually, to digest. For a lot of people that eat pastas, if you think about eating a pasta, how many times do you swallow a nice soft piece of pasta that hasn't even been chewed properly? Now, all of a sudden, the body goes, oh, I've got to break this down. I've got to break this down. But if you eat a vegetable, it's already broken down. It's already started to break down. So when you eat the good nutritional stuff, it's much easier for your body to actually digest. Now, when it goes through the digestion process, what happens there? When it's fruits and veg, it goes really easily, really quickly. When it's anything else, when it's refined sugars, when it's grains, the body goes, oh, I've got to secrete so many enzymes. Actually, some of the stuff I don't even know how to break down, but I've got to just send out all the stuff to break down. Your gallbladder overworks, your liver overworks. All of a sudden, you've got a whole lot of cleaning out that your body wants to do. And your body actually is constantly in overdrive. Your liver is constantly overworking, it actually overheats. So your body is always working so hard when there's processed foods going in. When there's nutritional food going in and we're feeding that nutritional hunger, the body goes, I got this. I know what to do. I know how to break it down. In fact, it starts in the mouth, it easily goes into the stomach, then it goes through to the small intestine, and the waste comes out. It's an easeful process, and the digestive organs rest and the body starts healing from all sorts of things. So nutritional hunger is the one thing that we do feed, and we feed it with foods that are full of nutrients. Yeah. We need macronutrients and micronutrients. We need the vitamins and minerals. We need the different proteins and carbohydrates and things like that. That all comes from our nutritional food. So nutritional hunger is one of those things that we need to be aware of, feel into our body, and goes, when we feed the nutritional hunger, we get more energy and we sleep deeper at night because our body is not digesting at nighttime. Some grains that we put in takes 36 hours to digest. Yeah. Now that 36 hours doesn't happen whilst we're awake. It happens whilst we're sleeping. So
I've noticed that so much. If you have grains at night, you know, I have rice and that at night, oh gosh, then you get like terrible indigestion. Now talk to me about the acid, because when I eat things like that, I sort of feel this acid burning inside, you know, and you don't want to be acidic because your whole thing is to alkaline your system.
100%. So the first thing about acidity is a lot of people feel that acid reflux. If you feel the acid reflux, it means that your stomach acids are actually really low. Now, we need a high hydrochloric acid in our stomach to break everything down, but we need our entire body to be alkaline. Yeah. So there is a difference with acidity. So we want the stomach to be acidic and we want the whole body to be alkaline. Most people I see, their stomach is not acidic enough and their whole body is acidic. So it's kind of like you swapping things around. So we do what, if you're getting the reflux, it actually means you don't have enough stomach acidity and the rest of your body is too acidic. And so that is definitely, we get it from dairy is very acidic, refined sugar is very acidic, and grains are very acidic.
And alcohol is very acidic as well.
Alcohol is very acidic. Caffeine is very acidic. It's all the toxins. When you think about the toxins going into the body, it's all the things that our body is not really meant to process. Yeah. Our bodies were brought up on fruits and veggies and meats. That's what our ancestors used to eat. Our ancestors ate fruits and veggies and meat. So our bodies are not meant to actually have refined sugars. It's too processed.
Refined flours as well. Yeah. Flour, bread, you know, you just have a big chunk of bread. You think, oh my God, it sits in your stomach like the Rock of Gibraltar. So now, yeah, so we've done thirst, we've done nutritional hunger, we've done empty stomach hunger, emotional hunger. That is my best one because, oh my gosh, I'm happy. Let me have something to celebrate. I'm sad. Let me drown my sorrows with this piece of cake or this big, whatever, you know, donut. And how do you say to people when they come and they present you, oh, look, I bought you a Krispy Kreme donut. And you just want to say, oh, but you can't say that.
Absolutely. So emotional hunger is such a key one. It really, really is such a key one. And this is one that most of us are feeding most of the time. Yeah. Because when we have a beautiful day and everything's gone well, we want to celebrate. So we normally celebrate with whatever, chocolate, yes, cookies, whatever it is. When we've had a terrible day and we really have had, you know, so much stress, what do we want to do? we want to eat.
That's an ice cream.
Exactly. So whether we are celebrating or whether we are down, we turn to food, and food becomes our constant. And I'll tell you why we turn to food. Because when we're going through different emotions, our body is up with emotions and down with emotions. Whereas the junk food, the processed food, always tastes the same. It's a constant. It's a constant. If you take that Kit Kat chocolate, it's going to taste the same today as what it tasted 20 years ago. And it's going to taste the same next year as what it tastes today. So that tastes the same. So often when we're moving through emotions, we're actually just looking for some consistency in our body. Our body's looking for consistency. Our body is not looking for the highs and lows. It wants to be stable. So we're going to grab something that's stable. Now we grab an apple, and some apples are sweet, some apples are sour, some apples, so they taste different. So when our emotion is up and down, we don't want food that is up and down, because it's not what's going to comfort us. So we need to be really, really aware of this. We seriously need to be aware. And instead of having food to change the emotional state, we need an activity to change the emotional state. So when we look at emotional hunger, we're not hungry. Our body doesn't want the nutrients. It definitely doesn't want the nutrients, because it's an emotion that we're moving through. It's either you in a joyous state, or you're in an angry state, or you're frustrated, whatever it is. But we want something, an activity to change that state. So for me, when I'm moving through ups and downs, the first thing is like, okay, who can I phone? Can I phone a friend? Can I phone a family member? Who do I speak to that I can confide in, that I can trust, and say, I need to move through this? Or at the end of a day, I used to do the same thing. At the end of a hardworking day, I used to come home and sit down and go, cup of tea and a biscuit. Can I have a cup of tea and a biscuit? And I'm going, oh my goodness, that doesn't set me up for an energetic evening at all. It really doesn't. So now I come home from work. What do? I want to walk the dogs. I want to actually go out and go for a walk and walk the dogs. And my dogs kind of drag me. So it's a very energetic walk. It's not a soft, easy walk, but I get into a different state. I get into an energetic state that sets me up for a good evening. That really changes it. If you're feeling the emotions, is there somebody you can go and give a hug to? Can somebody hug you? What can you do? Can you run a bath and actually, have a beautiful bath, so that you come out of the bath, you feel, I'm totally relaxed. I've left the stress down the plug hole. I've let it go. I've let it flow. And so can I now get on with being absolutely in a better state? So emotional hunger is same thing. We've got to recognize it. We've got to recognize what state we're in, what emotion we're in. And then from there, we've got to go, how can I do an activity that is going to change that state? And another wonderful thing I enjoy doing is getting out into the garden, getting out into nature, going for a walk on the beach, going for a swim in the sea. It changes your state, and you feel so much better after you've done activity instead of putting food in your mouth.
And you think about it, alcohol is the same thing. You drink alcohol to change your state, to make you in a better state. And if you can do something to change your state, Ilana said a bath is always nice for a long day. And where I'm staying now, there is no bath, and I really miss my bath, I have to tell you. But now, Aretha says, what about, I'm surprised about grains, wild rice that grows from the earth, that should be fine. So you can answer that one. And then Tando goes on to say, what about wheat products, And I always thought wheat products were safe, bread was safe. But the one thing Kerry told us once is that, if you put flour onto a wet surface, it sticks. And if you put that flour in the form of bread into your body, it sticks in all your pipes and bungs it all up. So you really got to take heed of what you put in and what it's going to turn into once it gets into your gut. But I didn't know the answer about the one about rice, Kerry. Why not rice?
So rice, yes, the sushi. Natasha mentioned the sushi there as well. So rice is one of those things that is a huge staple diet for a lot of different cultures. And so a lot of people have rice breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But think about how the rice is actually produced. And in many, many places, the rice, the water that the rices are produced in has loads of heavy metals, like loads of heavy metals. So we often in our bodies, we get a lot of arsenic from eating a lot of rice.
Wow.
So the heavy metals are actually something we've really got to watch out from. And rice is the same thing. If you have a look at the rice, it's not the easiest thing to digest. It's really, really not. It's like your grains. It's like your wheat. Wheat it also goes through a processing, and it doesn't have any enzymes in it. And so if you think about this, think about way back in time when there was kings and queens and then the peasants. So there were lords and then there was the peasants. And if you think about what the kings and queens used to eat, now my mind goes to Cleopatra. Cleopatra used to be fed grapes, in my head. It's like you see the pictures of Cleopatra eating the grapes. And the kings and queens used to eat really good quality meat and vegetables and fruits. And they actually, even hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years ago, they used to bring fruits in from different countries as well. So there was even imports and exports going on. And you look at what the peasants used to eat. The peasants used to eat the grains. The peasants used to eat the bread. So what I'd like to tell you is to eat like the kings and queens, because the peasants were the ones that when a plague came around, they never lasted. The kings and the queens, their immunity was stronger. They were able to fight more of the plagues, and they were able to stay in power. So if there's one thing you take away from today, make sure you don't ever, ever, ever skimp and scrape on what you actually pay for your food. It's the best thing that you can do. Eat like the kings and queens, and the grains. Yes, not like the peasants. Don't eat the grains and don't eat the processed foods, because that is not going to be good for our bodies. It affects the immune system. The digestive system has to work far too hard to actually process those things. So, so we definitely want to have very easeful digestion going on.
Yeah, and put living food into our living body. So we were just saying now that causes acid. The rice and the potatoes and the bread and everything causes acid in your stomach, and that acid will go into your body, and that you've got to get that acid out of your body. So the way we do it at WildFit is we have what's called an alkagizer, which you just put into your smoothie maker, and you just make yourself a green drink out of kale, out of cucumber, avocado, and celery. Mostly celery I use because celery is a great detoxer. You just make that and you drink it. Now, the first couple of times, it is an acquired taste. You have to know that. But like anything else, the first time you drank coffee, you didn't like it. The first time I drank Coke, I spat it out. I still do. The first time you drank alcohol, oh my God, the stuff is terrible. But you carried on, and eventually you acquired the taste, and it tasted quite nice. And it's the same with the alkagizer. Make yourself a smoothie every morning with green stuff in it, lots of celery, and I promise you, you'll soon get that taste, and you'll see how good it makes you feel. And it does flush all the toxins out of your body. So yeah, that's definitely the way to go. So which one have I forgotten now? Which hunger have I forgotten?
So I want to go back to empty stomach hunger, because a lot of people go, I'm feeling some grumbles. I'm feeling some grumbles, so I must be hungry. So empty stomach hunger often comes up, but it often comes up after you've had a meal. So you go, I've eaten that bowl of pasta, and now my tummy is grumbling, because that bowl of pasta didn't have enough nutrients in it. So that's why your stomach still wants the nutrients. It still wants more food, because you've eaten some dead food. You've eaten some food. It's either the bread or the pasta or the rice. It's like it doesn't have enough nutrients in for what your body wants. So that's why we feel a little bit hungry. But there's also, when we eat, we expand our stomachs. And our stomachs are the size of our fist. Now, how many of us actually eat only the size of our fist? We normally have a pile of plates. So when you think about it, the stomachs were made to expand because our ancestors lived in feast and famine. There were times where there was a lot of food around, and there were also times where there wasn't a lot of food. And so the stomachs were always made to do that. But now, in the process of your stomach readjusting back to its normal size, it grumbles. It grumbles. It doesn't mean it's hungry. It just means it's readjusting. So what I do, and I feel those grumbles, sometimes after you've had breakfast in the morning, you might feel those grumbles about 10 o'clock in the morning, or after you've had dinner at night, you feel the grumbles about 9 o'clock at night, and people are going, I'm hungry at 9 o'clock. I'm hungry at yeah. And then they put food in. It's actually your stomach readjusting. It's empty stomach hunger. So wait a few minutes. If you wait 5 minutes, the grumbles go away. They'll go away. Or if you have a sip of water, the grumbles go away. So it's not a true hunger. It's really not a true hunger. So it's about your body readjusting, your stomach readjusting to its normal size. So look for those signs and know that that is not a grumble that I need to feed. So you feed the thirst grumble, and you feed the nutritional grumble, but you don't feed an empty stomach grumble.
Now, the other thing I want to ask you about is, we were always taught to eat breakfast, lunch, and supper. And I want to tell you, when I'm at work, I'm like Pavlov's dogs. I eat my breakfast before I go to work. By 9 o'clock, I'm hungry. 10 o'clock, I need some tea and a biscuit. And then by 12:30, I'm starving. It must be lunchtime, and I eat then. And then 4 o'clock, oh my God, my blood sugar has dropped. I'm going to eat something now just to get myself going so I can finish the day. And then I get home and eat supper. Now that I'm semi-retired, I eat about 2 meals a day. I get up and I eat a late breakfast. So about 9 o'clock, I eat a late breakfast. And then because I live in Florida normally, and I go out with all the old fogies, we go for supper at about 4:30. So we literally eat 2 meals a day, and it really has worked for me. I have to say, I don't feel that hunger all the time. I stopped working like Pavlov's dog with the time. It must be tea time now. But how necessary is it to eat 3 meals a day and have tea times in between? Or is it quite okay to have 2 meals a day, if you feel that you're eating enough? Because, in America, the helpings are so big and so fatty and so processed that you really can't eat 3 meals a day because there's just too much food. So what do you feel about that, eating at set times or not?
Yeah, I truly feel the reason why we eat at set times is only because the industrial age came about. So the minute we started to have to go to work, and we had to go to work in the factories, and there was a set time where we had to be at work, it was only then that it was like, well, we better eat something before we go and work. And then the factories gave a set lunchtime. And then the factories made cereal. And a good way to market cereal is as a breakfast. So you've got to eat breakfast before you leave, and you've got to have a lunch break. And then when you get home at night, you need a dinner. Before the industrial age came about, we ate when we were hungry. That's when we ate. And we ate vegetables for breakfast, and we ate fruit for dinner. And it didn't matter what we ate when we were hungry. Absolutely, when we were hungry. Yes, Wendy, clever marketing. Absolutely, 100%. So lovely to see you here, Wendy. Cool. So really, we've been programmed. We've been programmed what to have for breakfast. Now you have bacon and eggs, or a cereal, or a piece of toast, because that's what the marketing companies want to sell. That's what we have for breakfast. What do we have for lunch? We have sandwiches for lunch, because that's what we've now been programmed. Oh, we're allowed veggies and protein for dinner, But if we have to go back and tune in and listen to our bodies and put nutrients into our bodies when we are hungry, that's when we actually should be eating. So a lot of people do incredibly well on 2 meals a day. Absolutely incredibly well. If you can do 2 meals a day, phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. And so tune in and listen to your body, and only eat when you're hungry, not when the time says you must eat. Really, we shouldn't go to that time. We need to go to our bodies. Yeah.
Now, Teresa says, what if your blood sugar drops or you start feeling weak? Do you need to eat or drink water? Now, I can tell you as one, oh my God, my blood sugar must be low. I must be ready to eat something. I'm feeling so weak. I haven't eaten for ages. And that is just a story you tell yourself, because how often something happens and I don't end up eating, my blood sugar is absolutely fine and I don't end up feeling hungry. But how, I'm actually going to start measuring my blood sugar. I've never measured it in my life, but how important is your blood sugar and should you measure it, and what should you eat if you feel your blood sugar is low?
So most people do have, and it's one of the hungers, it's called low blood sugar hunger. And most people have these spikes where their blood sugar shoots up and then it crashes during the day. And then it shoots up and then it crashes during the day. And that's because we're eating a lot of refined sugars, because the body actually processes sugar pretty quickly in the system, refined sugar. And when we don't have it, we crash. So if we have natural sugars actually get released really slowly in the system. It gets released throughout the day. The body knows how to process natural sugars, sugars that come from fruit, sugars that come from veggies. The body knows what to do, and you have a more consistency. That's why when we put that Alka-Jaza in first thing in the morning, people go, I'm not having the spikes. I'm not having the highs and the lows. And
I must say that I don't get hungry. If I have an Alka-Jaza for breakfast, and the question is, what do we have for breakfast? Have your Alka-Jaza for breakfast? Because that really fills me up. It seems to take away my hunger completely. And it keeps me going for a hell of a long time, much longer than breakfast cereal. I'm starving by 9 o'clock. If I have toast and avo for breakfast, and I have my breakfast early because I go to work early. By 9 o'clock, I'm absolutely ravenous. I'm ready to eat a horse. And then you can't get proper food. So sometimes you start eating rubbish just to fill yourself up. And when you realize it's a mind game, you can actually change that mind and don't eat that stuff. And then Aretha says, what should we have for breakfast? So definitely a smoothie, I would say, definitely. And what should be in kids' lunch boxes? And that's always a tricky one, because you don't want them to go and all stuff go off, but you don't want to give them something that's going to be like, Simba chips, which is not going to give them any nutrition at all. So what would you suggest that they put into, by the way, in my new vegan cookbook, I've got a whole section on breakfast, which you can make lovely omelets out of chickpeas and a lot of stuff. I'm working on it at the moment, so hopefully it'll come out soon. But for kids, what do you put in their lunch boxes? You can put grapes, you can put some fruit.
Yeah, so
kids won't eat veggies. Hummus with biscuits to put it on, celery to put it on, not biscuits. What would you give them?
Yeah, so first of all, I love that question. I absolutely love that question, because I think our kids nowadays are eating all the wrong stuff, and they are getting influenced by their friends at school. And so I had a client the other day, and she said she's got a 14-year-old, and the 14-year-old only takes junk to school to be cool. Yeah. So it's to be cool at teenage. So we need to get in before they get to teenage stage. We need to actually train
and even start to say, because with my grandsons, their treat was to go to McDonald's. I said, to me, that's the worst thing you could possibly, you couldn't pay me enough to eat a McDonald's. You really couldn't. And, and I said, how can that possibly be a treat? It really is so bad. But to them, they were taught that it was a treat. And I think that's what we've got to change that narrative. Sorry, Kerry, carry on.
Huge. Absolutely. So I truly, truly believe that what children need in order to grow, and in order specifically, even as they go into those teenage years for their hormones, children need fruit. They need fruit. They need lots and lots. So if you can, there's grapes, even raisins. So even if you put the dried fruit, dried mangoes are brilliant for kids. Apricots are awesome. Apples, just give them an apple and a banana. Really put into their lunchbox as much fruit as you can possibly put in, because as they're growing, those natural sugars are going to take away their cravings for refined sugars. So the more fruit that children have, the less they crave the chocolates. I've proven it over and over with lots of families that I coach. It's just incredible. It's like you pile them up full of the natural fruits, and all of a sudden the kids are going, we don't want that empty food anymore. We don't want that dead food anymore, because we feel hungry with it. And I'm always hungry because I'm eating the chips and I'm eating the stuff that doesn't make me full. So the first thing you put in the lunchbox is lots and lots of fruit. And then you can put things in like cucumber sticks, carrot sticks, celery sticks. Put it in with the dips, like you said, with hummus, or put it in with the different homemade dips that are there. But I think, yeah, maybe Margaret, we need to do a children's,
how to feed
lunchbox.
Children today. How to feed your children today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just incredible, because once they understand, and I've got a couple of clients that are teenage children, and I want to, every time they come in to see me, I want to just hug them like crazy, because I'm going, you're doing the right thing for your body, because they can feel, if you start them young enough, they can feel when their bodies are totally out of balance, and when there's something not right in their system, they feel it because their bodies have been so clean. When we've got too much refined sugars in our bodies, it numbs the communication. So our gut doesn't communicate with the brain properly. And so if our kids nowadays have too much refined sugars, it's going to numb that communication. If they've got a lot of natural food going into them, their bodies actually speak to them. They communicate with them. They're more in tune. If you take little toddlers and you put colorful, beautiful rainbow fruit in front of them, and you put a piece of bread in front of them, I tell you now, they're going to go for that fruit. They know, they actually have this intuition. They get drawn to the beautiful, colorful fruits and veggies. They don't want the dull colored donuts. They don't. Donuts, they put the sprinkles on them to make them more attractive.
Yeah.
The kids don't actually get drawn to that innately. It's not part of what their bodies want. It's the same thing. If your fridge is full of fresh stuff and you let your children open the fridge and choose the fresh stuff, they're always going to choose good stuff to eat. So the trick is to have your fridge full, have fruit baskets full constantly. So the kids know, I can go and choose, and I can eat that whenever I want to eat that. If I'm hungry, I eat what's in the fridge, and I eat what's on the fruit platter. If your pantry is full of chips and biscuits, that's what your kids are going to go to, because it's the refined sugar that really gets it. So it really is what is in your fridge and pantry and in your kitchen that is going to attract your children, and then your kids will want more of that for their lunches. They really will want more of that for their lunches. I've seen it over and over again. So it's up to us to train the children.
Yeah, so who is it says chia seeds and almond milk and that type of thing. To me, that's the answer, with a little bit of honey. Just I'm vegan, but I do have honey. Just to give it a bit of sweetness, and just to make it nice, and make a nice milkshake or a nice something. Talk to me about protein powders, because I don't have any protein powders myself, but people always say to me, oh my God, Margaret, you're vegan. Where'd you get your protein from? And I tell them beans and things like that. But they always say to me, do you not have protein powder? I said, no, actually, I don't. Should you have protein powder if you don't eat meat?
Not at all. Not at all. The protein powder is too processed. It's not in any natural form whatsoever. And if you read the labels, now I'm not talking about the nutritional value. So when you look at a label, don't look at the nutritional value on that label. Look at the ingredients. Read the ingredients. When you look at the ingredients, you will find in the protein powders, there is always some sugar. There is always some sugar. So most of that protein powder is made up of things that actually shouldn't be going into that body. So the best thing is to go same thing to your natural sources of that food, those absolutely natural sources of those food. And believe it or not, your veggies, your leafy greens have a lot of protein. Leafy greens have an amazing amount of protein. They have an amazing amount of amino acids, which is what your body actually needs. When you break down the protein, it forms amino acids in the body, and your leafy greens will surprise you. So keep up with a lot of your green vegetables, and your green vegetables can actually replace if you are vegan, vegetarian. If you're eating meat, it needs to be a really good source of meat, not meat that is full of hormones. So it really does need to be, you know, pay a little bit extra, because you're actually going to feel it in your body. You really will feel it in your body.
I see Wendy said, and how do we get around the milk myth? Well, you know, I was a great believer. I was always a great drinker of cow's milk. All my whole life, I didn't drink Coke or anything else. I drank cow's milk. And now, you know, Eric Edmead says, no, cow's milk is only for cows. It's not for humans. But my bones are very strong today. My friends are all falling and breaking their hips and breaking their bits and pieces. But my bones are strong. And I just wonder if it isn't from the cow's milk. What do you think about that?
No, I think it's from the veggies you're busy eating. There's more calcium in leafy greens than what there is in dairy. And that was the same thing. The marketing companies got very, very clever. It was like, oh, the milk is white, so it must be good for the white bones in the body. Milk actually pulls the calcium out of your bones. That's what milk does. And I have proven this over and over again. I've got an 82-year-old client, and she came to see me the other day, and she says to me, oh, you're going to get upset with me? You're going to get upset with me? I said, what happened? She says, I fell out of a tree. I said, what were you doing up the tree? She said, well, I was trying to get my fruit up in the tree. Now, she has eaten really well her whole life. She's 82 years old. She fell out the tree. She never broke a bone. Yeah. She never broke a bone falling out of a tree. And the clients that I see with really brittle bones were the ones that actually drank a lot of milk in their life and never had the veggies. And so when you think about what has been twisted just to sell a product, we have to become more aware of it. We really have to become more aware of it and go, what is good for my body? What is really good for my body? Where can I get more calcium from that will be absorbed into my system, that will really be absorbed into my system? So the calcium is going to come from your leafy greens. That's exactly where it's going to come from. And if you stick with eating really good, healthy foods, your bones will be really strong. The other reason why bones are not strong is when we feel that we have bloating, wind, gas, IBS, diverticulitis, all the gut issues, which means we're not absorbing our nutrients properly. And the body goes, that's okay. I'm still going to survive. I'm just going to pull the nutrients from my bones. I'll just pull it from the bones. And so the bones become brittle when our body is not actually digesting and absorbing the right nutrients. So if we're not feeding our body the nutrients, the body's going to turn towards the bones and go, I've got that. But if you've got enough nutrients and you're eating fruits and veggies, your bones are going to be strong. They're going to be strong.
Now, we're running out of time. So let's go to the last one, which is variety. Should you eat a variety of stuff, or should you just keep eating the same stuff, you know? And because I just found when I was, and when we go on the water diets, which we do, and we'll discuss that another day, but and you think you can't exist without food. Well, when you go on the water diet, you go for 3 days without any food. And I want to tell you, feel amazing. And it is absolutely astounding. So I must be honest that I do struggle a bit with it, but you have so much time in the day because you're not buying food, you're not cooking food, you're not eating food. For 3 days, you just drink water and it just flushes everything out of your system, and it's just amazing. So yeah, we'll talk about that. And then the question was, what do you think about vitamins? You get tempted in the aisles at discount to take loads of all these things. I hate pills, so I never take pills, but you do. I mean, I must say that I do buy stuff and like things like Vitatheon and things like that. You think, I'm just going to take this in case one day I'm not feeling very good. I'll just throw some of these vitamins into me. So tell us about vitamins. What should you take and what shouldn't you take?
So I truly believe that the vitamins are supplements. They're meant to supplement. You are not meant to have them forever. So if you are feeling like you are low on something, and it's best to go, you know, rather get it checked out, to have a specific vitamin, not to try and have these multivitamins. These multivitamins, there's too low a percentage of each vitamin. It actually does nothing. And I think a lot of people know it goes in and it comes out in the toilet. It doesn't get absorbed.
You use bright orange.
Exactly. It doesn't get absorbed. So the best vitamins that you can get is from your food. It really is from your food. And every type, and this comes to the variety hunger as well. If we have a variety of fruits and veggies, you're going to be able to get every type of vitamin and every type of mineral that you need from your food, really from your food. If there is, for instance, if there is some nerve issues going on, and you really are battling with some nerve pain, neuralgia, things like that, you go specifically and get vitamin B1. Just be, not multivitamins, because it's not going to help. You need to specifically go and actually get the one that is going to actually work in your body. So you don't go and get a whole multitude of different vitamins. So that's what I say about, you need to supplement every now and again, but not by a huge range, and you get one thing at a time, and that is it. A lot of people also, if they're suffering from cramps, sometimes when we go through a detox, we suffer from cramps, you go specifically and you get magnesium. And there's different types of magnesium. And so it's best to be guided which ones are going to be better for your body. But you don't go and buy everything. You don't go and buy, magnesium and calcium and this one and that one. You buy specifically what your body needs at that time. You have it for a short time. Let it boost your body. And then the rest of it is going to come from your food. It really is. So I love talking about the rainbow as well of food. A variety is a variety of foods. Now, that variety hunger sometimes comes in. It sometimes sneaks in when we've got fruits and we've got veggies. But oh my goodness, somebody else is having that whatever, that cake that we haven't had in years, and so they're having a special occasion and we haven't had so they've made this cake specifically for me, and so I feel like I need to have it because I haven't had it for a long time. And that's where variety hunger really sneaks in a little bit, is you looking for something that you haven't had in a long time. But that's also, it's not a true hunger, it just means you actually haven't had enough fruits and veggies. If you've had enough fruits and veggies, you'll go, I'm actually happy. I've got no sugar craving. I've got no protein craving. I've got no carbohydrate craving. I've got none of those cravings because I've already had a variety of fruits and veggies, and I've had the color. I've put all the color into my body, and my body is actually good.
Now, in America at the moment, in every single shopping center, there's a new shop that's come up, and it says vitamin B injections here. Have this drip, and you will come out looking amazing. It'll perk up your skin, it'll make you feel amazing, you'll look amazing. And there's got all these different things with the magnesium and the calcium and all these different things, and you go in and you have an injection. Now, I've had the vitamin B injections before from time to time because I feel I'm vegan and my body might need them. And then I was talking to Tamara about it, and she said, oh my God, Margaret, it's so terrible, because when you eat something, your body takes up what it wants and spits the rest out. But when you inject it into yourself, your body says, oh my God, I've got all this stuff. What am I going to do with it? And it honestly doesn't know what to do. And I must be honest, I had it in the shop, and Alan said, you are mad, don't do this. But I went and did it anyway. And I felt so terrible afterwards. You have no idea. I felt dreadful afterwards. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about injections of vitamin B and supplements like that. Do you have them, or do you just start eating more of what you need?
Yeah. So I don't have them. And in fact, I don't take any supplements. I don't take any vitamins. I don't take any supplements. I've got huge amounts of energy. I feel I'm not lacking. So vitamin B is often because our liver is not functioning correctly. Right. So if the liver is not functioning, because the liver actually stores vitamin B. So the liver can store vitamin B for up to 6 months. So wow. we actually should be having very consistent energy. That's what we're wanting. But when we are not putting the right stuff in, the body goes, I'm low, I've got low energy, I'm not detoxing, I'm not cleansing properly. And so people go, well, I get a vitamin B and I get this, energy spurt. But the same thing, it doesn't last in the body, and it's just an overdose, too much for the body to handle. Whereas if we actually go to specific foods and get it from our foods, the body can actually process it properly in the right quantities that it needs and gives you your energy for the day. So if your liver is functioning correctly, you should never, ever have to have the vitamin Bs. You really shouldn't. So if you are lacking, then it's like, okay, I got to, and I focus on my liver. I've got to either cleanse my liver, detox my liver, eat the right foods for the liver. And the beautiful foods for the liver are things like celery, because celery, as you mentioned, it's an anti-acidic and it's an anti-inflammatory. So celery is amazing. Apples are incredible for the liver, really incredible for the liver. Believe it or not, bananas are antibacterial and antifungal. So they actually also help the liver detox as well. Berries are brilliant for the liver. For the gallbladder, things that are really good to clean out the gallstones are things like grapes and kiwi fruits and your cherries and your berries. So those are the foods that are really good for the gallbladder. And then your liver is really about a nice variety of fruits as well to cleanse and detox the liver. And then your veggies give you a lot of those vitamins that you need. So yes, I'm not a big fan of all the injections and loads of supplements. Every now and again, your body needs a little bit of a boost, but do it gently, be gentle on your body, and rather look to your body to do a detox to actually get your body functioning correctly on its own first, instead of piling in everything. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that was so wonderful. And you won't believe we've almost run out of time. I just want Shane to put the next month's meeting into the chat now, so everybody who's here can do it. Please invite your friends to come in. So many people eat badly, and you can't say to your friend you're overweight, you should be watching this, or it's a very touchy subject. I know with my daughter, I don't discuss weight with her at all because it's a very touchy subject, so we just don't discuss it. But you've really got to, if you find that people are eating better, and especially when you get older, you see your friends getting, all these aches and pains and arthritis and blah, 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 blah. You don't want to get into that. You want to be healthy. We're going to live much longer than we ever thought we would live. We'll all live to over 100. My mother's 98 and still going strong. You want your brain to be strong. Most importantly, you don't want to be there with a brain that's gone AWOL. You want to have a strong body and you want to have a strong brain. And I believe that your bones have got to be strong. Your mind has got to be strong. You've got to take control of it. And when's the time? The time you should have done it 20 years ago. But if you didn't do it 20 years ago, please do it today. So yeah, the next one's on the 19th of June, 8 p.m. South African time. Okay. And yeah, Carol, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I really hope you take what we tell you to task. It's hard. It's hard to change. You've been doing the same thing for 50, 60, 70 years. It's hard to change overnight. It won't happen overnight. But if you just change a little bit at a time and just, when you get that thought in your head, I'm going to have that salted caramel ice cream. I'm going to have that rosé wine. I'm going to have that piece of cake. You've got to say to yourself, no. Or if you have it, because, you only live once, you might as well enjoy it. Have it, and then just go onto a big Alka-Jaza tomorrow and just flush all that stuff out of your system. So yeah, food for thought, excuse the pun. Thank you very much. And Rosie and Didi. Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and the gentleman who joined. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Kerry, for giving of your time to teach us. If anybody wants a private talk with Kerry, she is available. You can get her at Kerry. I will put your details into the chat below.
KerryBell.com, yeah.
And yeah, and I think we really need to, Carol says about tweaking everything with awareness and mindfulness, and that's really what it is. There are Faye put KerryBell.com into the chat. So yeah, I think your health is your wealth, and I can't stress that enough. You really need to be healthy, and today's the day we must start. So Kerry, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone joining us, and we'll see you all on the 19th of June. Look forward to that. Have a good evening. Lots of love.
Well, thanks, Margaret. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.